Okay, well, thank you everyone for joining. I'm really looking forward to this session with you. So this will be the first part of what I think will be two parts. We'll have to see. Maybe we'll need a third part. Overview of monitoring, evaluation, accountability, and learning, specifically for innovation in the humanitarian space. And so we'll go through some. I know you have already received some tools on this, depending on whether you're with the WFP Ignite Accelerator program or one of the Innovation Norway funded projects on social plastics and on the firm, the innovative financing. But the idea is, yeah, we're going to do all of this together to sort of cover some of the fundamental frameworks. And then provide you with some, I think, I hope there'll be useful guidance and information to get to make it more efficient for you to collect the right kind of information, and not just for the programs you're on now, but going forward to demonstrate the effectiveness of your solution, the scalability of your initiative, and so on. But first, maybe before we get into the training part, I think it'd be really nice to get to know each other a little bit. So could we go around and do a very quick introduction? What I'd like to do is, for those of us who are working for Response Innovation Lab, we can just kind of give our name and what we do and where we're based. But then for those of you who are the participants, if you could tell us also your name and your what you do, but also very, very shortly, very quickly, in just a minute, what it is that your organization, your business does. Like, what is your innovation? I think that will help all of us know a bit more about you and what to expect. So maybe we can start just with the Response Innovation Lab team. I think I'll start. My name is Max Vieille. I'm the Global Director of Response Innovation Lab. I'm also a monitoring and evaluation specialist from many years of working in humanitarian and development programs. And I designed the toolkit that I'm going to be showing you. Wei Tong, you want to say hello?
Hello, thank you, Max. Hello, everyone. This is Wei Cong. I'm based in Amman, and I work as the outreach officer at Response Innovation Lab. I'm here to provide the technical support for our event. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, and I will be attending to those questions. I will pass it to Liban.
Thank you very much, Wissam. Hello, everyone. My name is Liban Mohammed. I am the Somali Response Innovation Lab Manager based in here, Hargeisa. I think most of us, we met each other, but still, let's keep introducing each other. So over to Otsap if he's still on the call.
Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are. My name is Utsab. I currently work as the Somali Response Innovation Lab lead, working closely with Liban at the Somalia level and with Max and Wei Chong at the global level. So great to have you all in the call, because this is really, really important in terms of documenting our innovation process, because be it the WFP Accelerator program, of which some of you guys are, or the Innovation Norway funded projects, it's really important that, yes, we do great jobs, especially you guys are there to solve some of the pressing problem in the communities, but it's also important that the broader people knows, right? So that's where Max is going to do this session to help to record, like the most important information, so that you have the evidence that you can produce for the scale up, as well as to get more investment and partnership with the broader stakeholders. So wish you all the best, and I'll be in the call, and let us know if there's anything with which we can support. So thanks. Over to you, Max.
Okay, well, back to then the participants, just for their quick introduction. So yeah, can you please? I'm going to go alphabetically based on the list that I see on Zoom. So I think if you can do a very short introduction of yourself and what you're working on. We'll start with Abdul Karim from Taya.
Okay, my name is Abdul Karim Hussein. I am the general manager of Thai Plastic Factory. To give you little background of me, I was working with the Humanitarian for almost 17 years with the NGOs and also the United Nations. And I was also working in different countries in Africa and Asia. But then later on, I decided to start business with some other colleagues. So we put together some initial capital and we created a factory that produces plastic items in Somaliland. The idea was that there was a lot of plastic items that were coming from India, China, Bangladesh, and also Arab countries. And it is easy to process. So our idea was why we don't create value chains in our country? Why don't we, instead of importing all these things, why don't we put some factory here so that people can get jobs? And instead of importing all this stuff, then we can process and create some value here.
Thank you very much, Abdul Karim. That was really really great. So next would be Aden Akli.
Assalamu alaikum, guys. My name is Adam Muhammad Akli. I'm from KCG, Career Consulting Group, Director of Consulting Operations and Public Sector. Our main product is Cooperative Management System, CMS, which is a digital platform that optimizes cooperative operation by improving the productivity, loan management, administration efficiency, and the governance. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Aden. Very nice to meet you. Ahmed Al Nouri, you're next.
And hi all, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. My name is Ahmed. I'm the managing partner of Billow Capital. Billow Capital is an impact investment company. And in here, we are working with Somali Response Innovation Lab, Utsab and Liban on accelerator. We're creating an accelerator to help SMEs and equip them with the right tools to be investment ready and to optimize their operations, the marketing, the sales, and create jobs.
Thank you very much, Ahmed. Next would be Hafsa Mire.
Hi, hello. My name is Hafsa Mire, and I'm working for Green Life. I'm marketing officer. I'm replacing my partner, Mohammed Shukri. For the moment, we can't make the meeting.
Thank you, Hafsa. Can you say just a few words about the organization, your product?
Actually, I can't say much. I hope you can excuse me. I'm just, somehow late.
Okay.
Came the last minute.
Okay. Thank you, Hafsa. Let's go to Hannah Kaiser. Oh, sorry, I don't know if I pronounced that right. Kaiser? Sorry.
Hi, Max. Yeah, it's pronounced Kaiser. So you're pretty close. Hi, so my name is Hannah Kaiser. I'm also the co-founder of Bilal Capital. You guys just met Ahmed, and the GP as well, so general partner. I think he pretty much kind of introduced Bilal, but just to add on to what Ahmed said, and kind of focus a little bit on how we're working with Response Innovation Lab. It's through the Bilal Venture Lab, which we've designed to really kind of foster entrepreneurship, innovation, and investment all in one. We focus on both startups and SMEs, with a special focus on women and youth entrepreneurs. And our biggest aim really is to kind of bridge the ecosystem gaps by providing investment readiness, offering networking opportunities, and also in providing innovative access to finance, which includes SOMBAN, which is a a new platform that we have kind of pioneered, which is Somali. SOMBAN stands for Somali Business Angel Networks. So yeah, that's pretty much us. Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah. Let's move on to Khalid.
Hi, everybody. My name is Khalid. I'm from Roman Integrated Organic Farm. I'm a co-founder. We have been actually working with like smallholder farmers to help them like get into farming with mechanizations and also equip them with good agriculture practices. Basically, what we are doing right now is we are getting small scale working tractors that can help farmers reduce their cost labor and also produce much more and timely wise as well, which is a huge problem to actually have smallholder farmers in Somaliland produce consistently and a timely manner. So we are also developing a very intuitive a mobile app that farmers can actually easily book or lease our tractors from. And yeah, I think that's what we are doing. About it is a little bit like the farm we have is going to be the example that the other farmers will follow, where they learn more about good agricultural practices and also organic production and integrated organic production, where they co-produce all types of crops and vegetables, and also like an animal production and fish and chickens and all of that. So it is yeah, that's what's about. But mainly right now we are focusing on boosting the production of Audal and Marodi region with this mechanized equipment. It's kind of it goes circle where people learn and also have the ability to actually scale up their smallholder farming practices. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Khalid. We have two Suleiman next, so I'm going to go. The first one I see is Suleimaniga. Probably not pronouncing that right, but you're up next.
Okay, yeah. Can you hear me properly?
Yes, very well.
Well, thank you very much for well, welcome to all of you guys. My name is Suleiman Ige. I'm a co-founder of a company called Wadak Group. Wadak Group is really a group of companies that consist of investment company, microfinance company, insurance company, and soon maybe at some stage a bank. What our innovation and our part in this innovation is that on the financial aspects of it. We all know that the problem with the people of low income in accessing to finance is that they would need to go and bring a guarantor. And for them to have a guarantor, they have to have an ID, which is a bit difficult for them. If they get this, probably they won't get the other. We wanted to go and try to find a way to go and give people access to finance. So what we have done was we have established a project called Daqasho Yadigal. Daqasho Yadigal is a saving project where people will go and save a little bit of money for the rainy day. So what we do is when that amount of money reaches up to 200 or like that, we give them a share of the company, and we tell them, now you have got enough money. We give you a share of our microfinance company, and you can use that share as a collateral for yourself. So what people do then is they come and they go and ask me to give them a loan of $200. I give it to them without any collateral, without any a guarantor, without a guarantor. So it became so popular with the people for something that they can really afford to save, that they can just use as a milk cow. So every time that they need money, they come to us and we give them a loan without any guarantee, without any guarantor. And the other thing here is people became, it also lifted their self-esteem. They came to know that they can be a shareholder in a big company for as little as $200, which also encourages a saving. So this became an incentive for them to save, and it also became an incentive for them to go and get a loan whenever they need. And to make it more easier for them, sometimes people need more than their share, more than 200. So we tell them, okay, go to your friends. Am I taking a long time?
So yeah, Suleiman, I'm very sorry, but I think we need to move. We're gonna need to move on. But I think people got the basic idea of what you're working on, and hopefully we can have more opportunities later to share. Thank you. Let's see. Next is Suleiman Ali.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Sulaiman Ali Ahmed, and I'm the founder of Ecoplastic, a social enterprise which is committed to recycle plastic waste into paperies, building blocks, and tailings. So the problem we have in Somaliland is the fact that there is improper waste management, and most of plastic is they are scattered in the city or end up in the landfills. So they have environmental and health problems to the community as well as the livestock. Sometimes they block drainage systems. So when we solve this problem, we kind of like ask ourselves as how can we turn this trust into opportunity that we are creating a sustainable product out of it, and we believe we are not only recycling, we are reshaping the future of Somaliland. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Suleiman. There's somebody with a strange name. Unless you've unmuted, so user1YPOCP. Can you please tell us who you are?
Yeah, I think it is me, Ahmed, from Some Farm Fresh.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you.
Do you want to do a bit of an introduction?
Yes, my name is Ahmed. I'm the business investment and development lead for Some Farm Fresh, based in Hargeisa, Somaliland, and we do fruit and vegetable. So that and we were part of the the winners of the project Ignite project that right now implementing the project activities. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you. And last but certainly not least, Yasmin from our ASS Agribusiness. Oh, we have somebody else joined, but go ahead, Yasmin.
Hello, everyone. My name is Yasmin. I'm from RAS Agribusiness. It's agribusiness and based in Mogadishu, Somalia. We are involved in farming and producing agricultural products. And I'm here on behalf of Mr. Ali, the General Manager of RAS Agribusiness, because he is currently unavailable. So that's thank you.
Thank you, Yasmin. And then we had somebody just joined, Fatima. Fatima, do you want to do a very short introduction of who you are and your organization?
Yes, good morning. My name is Fatima. I am the head of claims and corporate risk manager from WDAG Insurance, WDAG Group. And thank you.
Thank you. No, great. So we've had the introduction to WDAG previously. Okay, so I think we're all here, and we're going to get started. Just one quick question for Liban and everyone. And sorry, Fatima, can you mute, because I think you might be in the same room as somebody. Okay, yeah, thank you. I was hearing a bit of an echo. Just to make sure that people received the Excel spreadsheets. I don't know, Liban, were you able to send those out?
Yes, yeah, I shared with them yesterday. The Ignite Food System team, the Social Plastic team, as well as the firm team. And also they can confirm whether they received it or not.
Great, thank you. And I know some of you are traveling, and I think some joined by phone. So if you don't have access to a computer and to that spreadsheet, I think you'll need to find some pen and paper, because this is going to be an interactive workshop. We're actually going to be doing work during the session. So I will need you to at least be able to write down notes, either in the template that was shared, or if you don't have access, just on pen and paper, on paper somewhere else. But first, so as we start, I just want to again say congratulations to everyone. You're all here because you've won a very competitive process, either through World Food Program or the Innovation Norway projects. So it's really you all are very impressive innovators and business leaders, and it's really an honor to be working with you on this workshop. So let's get started. If my computer agrees to move. Oh, here we go. So basically what we're doing here is we'll be taking you through a toolkit that we've developed called Shine It. And what Shine It is about it's been an attempt for us to sort of connect two dots, and I'll talk about that a bit later, but to find tools that are useful for you as business innovation leads, for you to manage your information yourself, but also as social entrepreneurs and people that want to create change in Somalia, to be able to tell yourself and to tell others what change is actually happening, what social change, change in society, change in the environment, change in the well-being of people your solution, your product is generating. So you have the link. I think Wei-Tsang put the link to the whole toolkit, and that's those of you who have the Excel spreadsheet. This is the different tools in Excel format. But if you see on the chat, there is a link to our website and all of the instructions for this toolkit. So we're going to go one by one here, looking at different tools that we think are most relevant for your particular for this particular project you're working on. But there are other tools available as well that you can access outside of the sessions. So, okay, I'll skip this. Okay, so let's maybe first, before we get into the details, let's talk a little bit about social impact, just because this is going to be a key component of why we're going to be asking for certain kinds of information, because as we'll see later, information means different things to different people, and I'm sure many of you are very well aware of the requirements from the business side. And I imagine some of you are already quite familiar with social impact. I know some worked in nonprofits or have been focusing very much on this sector. But for some people, social impact, even in where I work, is still not very well defined. So I have a short video I'm going to play that helps maybe answer some preliminary questions, so that we're clear about what do we mean by social impact, and how we're going to be able to find the evidence that demonstrates that we are creating positive social impact, and also looking for negative impact as well. So it's a very short video, and I'll play it now. Hopefully the sound will cooperate.
What is social impact? Social impact refers to the positive or negative effects an action, organization, or policy has on society and the people within it. Why is it important to understand? Understanding social impact is important because it helps us measure the consequences of actions or decisions on people's lives, communities, and the environment, ensuring we create a fair and inclusive society. For example, building a new shopping mall may create jobs and boost the local economy, positive impact, but it could also lead to increased traffic and pollution and disrupt nearby neighborhoods, negative impact.
sorry. So that was pretty basic, but yeah, you can see that whenever we try to change things, introduce new ideas, there's going to be both positive impact that we want and some negative impact that we have to be aware of. And we'll go into the tools that specifically cover these two sides of impact. But first of all, maybe taking a step back, why gather information at all? Like, what are some of the purposes to collect information as you work, as you grow your business? You can please, I think you could use, for those of you who have access to the chat, please add some thoughts. But you can also raise your hand. And Wei Song, I might need your help because as I'm sharing screen, I don't see the participant reactions. But I want to can we get some initial thoughts? Like what are some of the main reasons you would want to gather information? Well, what I might do then is to call on people, which I think might be more efficient. So let's see. I think Abdul Karim, you have your camera on, so I'm going to ask you, like, what are some of the reasons you want to collect information as in your work?
Abdul Karim, you are muted if you're speaking.
I think
thank you. Okay, now what is important for us as Tayo is our customers. So we serve community around us. So we are concerned with the quality of our products, and we want their feedback to give us, what is important for them, so that we can improve our services or our products. We also have different areas, different people who are working with, who are working with the distributors, who are our agents. We are working with transporters, the truck owners. We are working with some small shops that buy our products. So we have the first groups that are working with. So what is important is that we need to know what they are complaining from our services or from our products, and then in the next time we want to improve our service. That's one area. The other area is that we want to know is about what negative impact our production has on the environment. We are in the plastic industry, and plastic has a pollution effect on the environment, and that is why we were interested to create a recycling unit, and we are doing some recycling, and now we are expanding with the support of Innovation Norway, and that is why we are in this program now. We are discussing here. We want to improve and increase the plastic waste that's collected from the town and process it back for useful products in the factory.
Thank you, Abdul Karim. So yeah, I heard quality improvement. That's always a great reason. I heard knowing your customers and tracking your growth and your marketability, and then yes, monitoring the potential negative social impacts. I see in the chat that Ahmed has said that gathering information to make informed decisions. And if you can measure something, you can manage it. I think again that goes into the quality improvement, management aspect of things. Suleiman, I think I saw you take yourself off. Suleiman Ali, you took yourself off of mute. Do you want to contribute something?
Yeah. I went out on that. So for collecting information, when information is evidence, you wanna just kind of like want to know and understand the context, and that's why you collect an information, and it is kind of like we can say it becomes evidence as well, and also in terms of information, it takes part. It can be SWOT analysis, and you will know about the opportunities, risks, weaknesses, all strengths, once you collect all this information, then you will have more understanding what the context is. And at the end of the day, that will help you to kind of like make an informed decision about something.
Thank you, Suleiman. Absolutely. So yeah, again, back to using it for information, but also like your comment that it's also for future planning to be able to know the market better, your place in it, the opportunities, and so on. I really like those answers because they're very much they focus on internal uses of information. Sometimes people see reporting as something that is an external function, but it's really good to see that this group you understand the value, the inherent internal value of information gathering. Let's see if I can move my slide. Sorry. Okay, so basically, I think we touched upon some of these already, but as we said, I think different people, different types of organizations will have different uses for information, obviously. So all of you here are entrepreneurs. You're managing your business, even if sometimes it's as a nonprofit, you're still managing your own creation. And so I think we already talked about some of those reasons very well. Performance management, strategic decision making, those are exactly the ones. You mentioned product development also, like do customers like this feature? Do they want something else? Is the product reliable? Is it working? Visibility, to get your information known to people. Quality improvement we talked about. And here, there's many different types of information that you as an entrepreneur will need. I think on the basic one will be just cash flow, like information on your finances. Are you making money? How is your investments paying off? But also customer stories. Are customers happy with your product? Are they telling you that it's working for them? Can you use those stories to sell to more people, to get a better understanding of how your product is used? And then things like production costs, all of these things are very important if you're managing a business or driving an enterprise or an initiative. Then you have also other commercial actors that are lending money, that are investing, the financial sector. And generally what they want to see from information is return on investment. Do they feel confident that their investment is going to be paid off? Is there evidence to show that the company is growing, that there's a big market, that they can grow its market share, that it can acquire new customers, that it can bring in more business? But you also, so market viability, the scalability, and these things what an investor or lender might look at is to look, do you have sales orders? Are people ordering your product now and in the future? What's your market share? Are you profitable now? Do you have a road? Is evidence showing that you can be profitable in the near future? And then you have nonprofit actors, and I think this is really important because all of you here, you're sort of engaged in partnerships with nonprofit organizations, whether it's a non-governmental organization or an international donor, a nonprofit donor like Innovation Norway, or a UN agency like World Food Program. And what do those actors look for? Ultimately, there's definitely a project management. They want to know, is the project going according to plan? Is their money being spent the way they think it was going to be spent? But also we talked about social impact, right? Because ultimately what those organizations, their strategic plans and their success is measured not in money, but really in the World Food Program, for instance, in terms of food security or food insecurity. If World Food Program isn't able to contribute to better food security levels in Somalia, then the leadership will consider that a problem. But if they're able to demonstrate that World Food Program investments help produce more food in Somalia and reduce hunger, then that can be a success. And then obviously visibility, because nonprofit actors, even especially if it's a very large ones, they need success stories. They need people to know that they are doing something useful and they're creating positive impact so that they can attract more funding either from individual people or from governments and other large donors. And the same thing for the for the donors themselves, like Innovation Norway. They need to demonstrate to the government of Norway that their investments are paying off and it's making life better in Somalia and elsewhere. So what the kind of evidence that these organizations will look for are indicators from the social sectors. So we talked about food security. There are food security indexes. There are numbers on overall food production, on hunger, rates of malnutrition. In the health space, you might find, indicators on, mortality, under 5 mortality. So how many young children are dying. You could look at things like the number of access to healthcare facilities, so on and so on. And then obviously they also want case studies. It's not just quantitative information. They want qualitative. They want to see what does their program actually look like for people in the communities they want to serve. They want to have an example of a farmer that receives support. If for instance, the farmer has access to better farming technology, what did they do with it? What has changed in his or her life? What has changed for his or her family, and so on. And then you might find more sort of academic or more sort of rigorous evaluations on impact, where they would want to see, does a particular project, is it a better alternative to another project? So to compare, two different groups, two different populations, to see if they can prove that something is working or not. And then finally, and I think this is right where we are here, what the reason we're here together today is that as social entrepreneurs, you have to do all of the above, right? You have to be commercial. You have to show that, you have to use information yourself to make sure your product, your company, your initiative is functioning and is being managed well and is constantly improving. But you also need to demonstrate to your investors, to your lenders, to your business partners that you have this long-term sustainability and scalability. And because you're partnering with nonprofit actors, you need to also demonstrate the social impact. And as social entrepreneurs yourselves, I imagine that you also, because you're doing this work not just for business purposes, but you all have a social mission. You all want to improve things in Somalia. So you really it's going to be a combination of all of this, which can be a bit scary because it's a lot of information. And so the way our toolkit and Response Innovation, we try to find the simplest ways to connect all of these in one package, so that you don't have to repeat collecting information in different ways, but also trying to limit to the basic minimum what you can be expected to produce, because we know it's a lot of work. And please, anyone, and Wade Song, I'll need your help on this. If people have questions, if they want to ask clarification, you can raise your hand, and I'm happy to stop and answer any questions. But just to go around, you'll hear the term meal a lot, and you probably have already. But this is a term that probably isn't used very much in the business world, but it's very, very common in the nonprofit social world. And this is something that you see World Vision use very often, the UN agencies and so on. So MeAL stands for monitoring, evaluation, accountability, and learning. And it's considered the 4 sort of pillars of information management, basically, or evidence management. So monitoring is what we'll talk a lot here, which is basically collecting and analyzing data about the progress of the project and the changes in the project environment. So that's really information that you can collect relatively quickly and regularly is the most important part. So, things that you can see trends, you can see from month to month, are things improving? Are you seeing the change that you expect? An evaluation is something you tend to do more infrequently, but to sort of take all of that data and add a lot more qualitative information to see, are you really successful? Are the numbers accurate? Are they telling the true story of what is happening? So that requires more time. It usually requires external people to come in and interview people who are receiving you're using your products, who are paying for your products, to see how they feel, what do they think, in addition to the monitoring data. Accountability, that is something is very important to the nonprofit world. It means we are, we do all of what we do to serve the populations in these countries, so we are accountable to them. We cannot do something that doesn't work for them, or that they don't embrace, they don't accept. So having this dialogue with all the different stakeholders throughout a project is really important, so that there is no confusion, and that there is no room for us pushing something that communities don't really want. And then learning is all of the, it's how to use all the above, then to take away lessons about what we should do in the future. So failure, as you know, is a huge part of innovation, but it's often one that people forget about. But it is incredibly important to know if something is not working, why hasn't it worked, and for us to understand that in the future, so that people don't make the same mistake. And the same thing if you have great success, what is it that generated its success, and how can it be reproduced, maybe in other areas, maybe for other countries, and so on. Okay, so we'll talk about good meal versus bad meal. And I try to change the picture according to each country, and this is what Google told me was a attractive meal on the left for in Somalia. I have to say it looks pretty appetizing. Sorry if you're vegetarian. And then I think everybody agrees on the right, it's not looking like a great meal. So what is bad meal? Because it's true that sometimes you can do these things, but you do it in a bad way. And it can be really a waste of resources and time, because meal, all of those things, the monitoring, the evaluation, accountability, all of that takes a lot of time. I would say bad meal is something that's what I like to call an export commodity, right? If you're only collecting information to give to somebody else, for somebody else to use, that's usually not going to be good. Because if you don't use the information yourself, you're not going to be able to really know the accuracy, and it's not going to help you if you're just sending it out to people. It's also not necessarily good to think about meal too late. I know in this case, like, the project's already started, but I don't think it's too late to ensure that we have the right kind of evidence generated. But sometimes it comes in much too late. Sometimes it can be too ambitious. So right now, I think in all cases, you're not going to be able to demonstrate like how you've contributed to changing, like, the SDG goals, the Sustainable Development Goals. You're not going to be able to demonstrate macro level change yet. And so it's important that you collect information that's useful to you now, that's relevant to you now, and to where you are in your process. When you talked, it was great to see that everybody who mentioned, when I asked about why collect information, you all manage project management. So if you don't use information for that, then it's not useful, right? If it's for somebody else, if it's not for you, then it's not going to help the project. And then finally, yeah, it's got to involve more than just one person in the organization. It's great if you have somebody who's specialized in information, but the use of that information has to be across the board. It's something that has to be reviewed by everyone, so that the information sometimes it's relevant to the business side, sometimes it's relevant to the product development side, and so on. So the flip side of that is what a good meal is. And a good meal is, this is something that's really the purpose of it is fundamentally to manage the project well. If that's the main reason you're collecting information, then that is the best reason. You consider how the measurement of success really early on, so you know what success looks like. But it also has to be realistic, right? You want to be able to look for information that you can actually receive, that you can actually collect without spending half of your budget, or without taking years to collect. It's got to link with where you are in your project and your development. And yeah, you've got to use it, basically. The people on your team, And and it's got to be. It can't just be information that is only looking in a very long-term future. It's got to be information that's also very much about things that are happening now in your journey. So there's a lot of I don't think we have time to do this. There's a quiz, but I think I think given the time, we'll probably skip that. So maybe I'll stop here though, and sort of see if there's any questions or comments about the framing of monitoring, evaluation, accounting, and learning. And if there's anything that people want to know more, sort of surprised about, or want to, if things aren't clear, please let me know. Everything good. Again, don't hesitate throughout the process if you have questions to jump in. So the next part is going to be a bit more interactive. So I'm going to talk less and have you do a bit more work. So we're going to start with a tool that we think is the foundational tool called the Innovation Journey Roadmap. And what the roadmap is about is trying to sort of understand the vision that you have about long-term success, about the creation, why you decided to develop a social impact innovation or social impact product, and then understanding how you get from the starting point to the end point, and what does that journey look like? Because I think a lot of the reason we sort of came up with this tool, I think there were a couple. One was checking to see, even with innovations that were coming from nonprofits or UN agencies, I talked to many people, many innovators, and they simply could not tell you like what their journey looked like. They could tell you what they're working on now and what their short-term objectives were, but they weren't necessarily able to tell you what they wanted to achieve, what success looked like in the long run. And it's really difficult then to be able to manage a project and to plan for the future if you don't have a clear idea of what you want to achieve in the future. The other thing that prompted the use of this tool was speaking with many innovators who had a long-term vision, but were missing a lot of key steps. So I remember in Uganda, I was speaking to a gentleman who had started a business to train young people about entrepreneurship and to provide this new sort of interactive training on how business works and so on. And when I asked him like what does he expect to happen, he was saying, well, young people will know how to be business owners. They'll know how to be entrepreneurs, and then that will lead to economic development in the community. But when you think about it, there's many steps, right, between the training and the economic development of a whole community. You have to have, first of all, the training has to be good. People have to actually understand what they're trained on and raise their learning level. And then they have to be, but if they're going to start a business, they're going to need access to funding, right? They're going to have an idea for a business. So all of these steps, there are all of these steps between the actual introduction of the product and the long-term goal that the innovator has. And so when we talk about impact, this is what we mean is the long run. Like, what is it? What are you building toward? What is it that you want to change in your country or in your community, in your country, around the world? And knowing that really helps understand things. So if what we mean by impact is what lasting change are you creating? So impact isn't something that is a result that happens tomorrow but then goes away. It's really fundamentally changing something for the long run. But often that doesn't happen for several years. This is never impact is never immediate, really, in the way we think about it when we talk about social impact. So it's really about changing a system, shifting the living condition or the status of people and communities. So for instance, if you've developed a better way to dispense soap that makes it cheaper and easier, more efficient for schools to have hand washing stations, your long-term impact might be, this is during COVID, might be that you lower mortality with COVID-19 or other diseases that thrive on unhygienic practices. But that's going to take you a long time. It's going to take many, many schools using the dispenser over many years for you to actually demonstrate that you can reduce, the mortality of children. The other things I want to say on this tool, which is an innovation journey roadmap, is you're looking at there's different levels of results, and that's really important to understand. We'll get into the details, but generally, when we talk about outputs, we're talking about very close term results. These are some of the first kind of information you'll be able to collect when you introduce something to new users. So it's often related to activities. It's something that happens as people interact with your solution. Again, usually in matters of sometimes minutes, sometimes days, sometimes weeks. But it's generally very short term, and you can find numbers on outputs. It's usually things you can find that you yourself have access to as the company behind the product or the innovator. Outcome is a bit longer term results, not impact, not something you have to wait for many, many years, but this is something that if the immediate results are what you expect, then the next level of change. So for instance, and we'll look at some examples, but for instance, in the hand washing example, the output will simply be the number of functioning hand washing stations in schools. And then an outcome might be more children washing their hands on a weekly basis, for instance. But first you can't get to the outcome before you've had the output. You can't have more children washing their hands if you don't have the washing stations installed first. But it becomes, the outcomes are something that that are often collected by other people, because you yourself can't you can't see that change with each of your individual clients over time. You might need to rely on another source of information to get your outcomes. Okay. So the roadmap really is something. Also, the important thing is that we'll be asking you to sort of fill this roadmap today. It doesn't mean that the roadmap can't change. It actually should. As people react to your solution, as you learn things, as you make changes to your solutions, you'll want to update this on a regular basis. So this is the tool we're talking about. And so if you have your Excel spreadsheets, you should have access to it. But the way the tool is structured is that it is looking at the whole sort of journey that you've started on. And I would assume many of you started here or potentially here. So basically, by the problem, usually if you're working on social impact, you're reacting to a problem. You're trying to fix something, right? Whether it's environmental degradation, whether it's hunger or poor, agricultural outputs, or whether it's just, low investment levels that are too low in your country. But there is a problem, and defining that problem is really important to plan and to understand what success looks like. And then based on that problem, or sometimes maybe you have a vision and you say, oh, I want to see a green, where things are arid and unproductive land, I want to see green land full of fruits and vegetables. But either way, you're going to then design your solution. So you're going to say, okay, the current system isn't working very well, so I'm going to do something different. My solution is going to introduce something. It's going to have features that solve the problem, that do things differently. And again, I assume all of you have this already in your application process, in your pitch. You've already told people what is it that's special about your solution. And then, so the next three levels are really about the kind of information that you can find that will tell you, how do you get to the social impact? How do you get to the long-term impact? And so the first one will be, what do you expect immediately, very, very short term, when people start to use your solution? Do they embrace it? Do they like it? Do they start to use it? Do they understand it? What happens when the people interact with it? And then what changes begin to take place? And then over longer time, like what greater change do you start to see until you get to the point where the change is permanent, until you've really transformed something. So this tool is really about, in a simple way, this doesn't require a lot of information, but it's putting your ideas on paper that connect all of this journey so that you can explain to people, investors and partners, this is, I'm here. I've identified this problem. I've developed this solution. It's currently here or it's here. We've introduced it. We've learned from it, and this is where I want to go in the long run. And so what we'll be doing today for the next hour or so is to have you actually start to fill in this tool, sort of step by step, and that will take turn to do that starting now. So again, I assume many of you through your application process and probably even before that have developed a problem statement. But here we want to kind of do two things at once. And I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to see if you can fill in the worksheet that you have, that Liban has shared with you, or if you don't have it, put it down on a piece of paper. For each of your solutions, what is your problem statement? So what is it you're trying to solve? It's got to be very short. It's got to be clear. And then what change do you want to see in the long run? What is the long-term impact? And it can be more than one. You can have multiple. You can have impact in, for instance, when you talk about some of the recycling. It can be an impact on job creation, that you're creating more sustainable jobs through recycling, but you're also reducing plastic waste and and contributing to the environmental well-being of the country. So it doesn't have to be just one. You can have multiple impacts, but try not to have too many. I would say 3 to 5 would be the maximum. So I'm going to ask you to take 5 minutes. We're all going to go on a pause. If you can write down your problem statement and your impact statement or statements in the chat in the next 5 minutes, so that we can all see what you have. And if you're working on the Excel spreadsheet, first put that information on your Excel spreadsheet and then copy it into the chat. Is that okay? Is that clear for everyone?
Yeah, that's clear.
Yes. That's clear. Yes, that's okay.
The spreadsheet that we have does not, it's not in fact have those columns. It's different. It doesn't show about where the problem statement is and all that. It starts with innovation, uptake, and activities indicator.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. So there's multiple tabs in that spreadsheet. So we're looking. Thank you for that. There is an innovation journey roadmap tab that should take you to the right tool.
Okay.
I think you're in the pilot data management tool, I think.
Well, now I have.
Okay, great.
Yes, sir. Maybe. Yeah, I want to have a say.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, just regarding this template, it looks that we have maybe similar document that will give you a brief details about all the key points. Just already we fill it a lean canvas at the beginning of the project that has all the important information that you are looking for, and that it will help you show exactly the problem statement, the solutions, and also it will also outline. Let me see. Also, it will outline unique value propositions, unfair advantage, customer segment, existing alternatives, key metrics, high-level concept, channels, and early adopters.
Yep.
So all these information are already in a lean canvas, and we can share with you. And maybe it will just replace. It will minimize time.
Yes.
So that's why I like to propose that we can also share with these documents.
Please do. Thank you. That's really useful. But if you have those documents, because this is the purpose of this tool is a little bit different than the tool that you mentioned. So here we're going to be using the same information, but I think we're going to be doing it with a slightly different purpose. This is going to be much more focused on social impact rather than the sustainability and the growth of the solution. It's a bit different, but if you have already that tool, then it makes it much easier. You can just take the problem statement and your impact statement, if you have one, and just plug them into this one. And that will help. I think that will help speed things up. So don't reinvent it if you already have those things, and go ahead and reuse what you have.
Good. Yes, also I'd like to add something. So those of you who are part of the Ignite Food System, you took the accelerating program, so that gives you the opportunity to have the data required, but also there are other innovators coming from different projects who haven't had that. So right now we need to have to be on that same page.
Yeah, and then you'll see for those who are on Ignite, I think the next steps you'll see are a bit more. I think those things you haven't necessarily been covered yet. So I think this current step will look quite familiar, but I think in the middle part is where is what we'll be focusing on really for this session. So yeah, if you can put those things in the chat, that way we'll know who's already, who's done. So again, if you have this already in another document, just cut and paste, put it in the chat. Easy. If you need to do it for the first time, it doesn't need to be perfect. You can revisit it later. But please, yeah, just take 5 minutes to do that, because I know time is moving. Okay, thank you, Hafsa. Yeah, please do. Yeah, great to see you putting things in the chat. Yeah, please keep going, everyone. Thank you.
Hello, sir. Hello.
So we have Hafsa's inputs on the chat, but we don't have anybody else's. So especially those of you who already have those have done the work already for Ignite. If you have, if you can cut and paste those, or if you can rewrite as you want. But let's see if we can get a bit more inputs into the chat. Thank you.
Sir, I wanted to apologize about earlier for the confusion. I didn't have much idea. My boss told me the idea and how the things are supposed to be. If that's okay with you.
No, well, I mean, Hafsa, this is what I see here is really great. The input is fantastic, so no problem.
All right, thank you so much.
I'm sorry, Kafi is here. We haven't met. My colleague was there before me. So I've also uploaded our problem statement and impact statement. If you can see, if you cannot, you can let me know so I can repost it. Thank you.
So if you have I'm sorry, did you say like if you can you put it in the chat?
I think that's what I put. Right?
Oh.
Like 11:14. If you can see, you can let me know so I can repost it again.
Copy, the message is dropped in the chat box, so we cannot see it. Can you maybe again send it?
Okay.
And those of you who haven't still shared on the chat box, we're actually battling against the time, so please kindly hurry.
Sorry, I shared it a few minutes ago, but it was directed to, I think
it says
there's
direct
like a
message.
Yeah, it says direct message.
Are you
It said
having
to put it in the main group chat
are
now.
you having Hi Hannah, are you having the same
Hi,
problem?
Kafia.
Okay.
Yes. So if you just go to, I think I messaged there's a meeting notes or something by accident. But if you actually go to where it says two, and then if you go all the way up, it'll say meeting group chat. And then you can just copy and paste it so resend it. So click meeting group chat and then resend it and it'll come into the main group, I believe.
Okay, let me try.
If I'm not wrong. Can you guys see my message now?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you,
Yeah,
Hannah.
so it should work, Coffee, if you try that.
So can you say that again? Where is the meeting chat? Where can I find the button itself?
So
At
when you
the
open the
top?
chat, no, at the bottom, just where you type, just above it, it will say two, and then it'll have like a blue a little icon
Yeah,
where
I see meeting notes.
no, yeah, for me it was meeting notes as well. If you go all the way up, it'll say meeting group chat.
Got it. Found it.
Yeah.
How about now?
Yeah, we can see yours.
See?
Perfect. Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you, Hannah.
Maybe those of you who are having a similar challenge, you can also resend.
Well,
I mean,
just
go ahead.
trying to fill the spreadsheets, right? Or do you want us just to put on the chat?
If you could do both actually on the spreadsheet and on the chat, so because you want to use the spreadsheet for later, but if you put it first on the spreadsheet, then put it in the chat would be great. Okay, this is what I'm seeing is really good. I think it's important in some of them to on the impact statement to maybe be a bit more ambitious. So it's not what is the ultimate goal that you can claim, because I think it's important for people, especially if you're looking at investors, social impact investors, and others, to really have they're often looking for kind of bolder vision. So, for instance, I'm gonna pick one from Kafia and Runan Farms. So, boosting yields and incomes is fantastic. What does that lead to then? What happens if you have Somali farmers that are producing more and gaining more income? What happens next?
That is the problem. We don't have farmers, local farmers whatsoever, who are producing much, even enough for the community. They within the community they are in, or making incomes, enough incomes the way they are supposed to. So it's a teaching moment at the beginning, and then we're gonna go for production and improving the agriculture sector.
But what
That's the
happens? What happens if you're successful? If your solution is able to get people to produce more and to make a better living, how does that change the society? How
we
does that change your
have
community?
actually we have a community that can feed itself for the first time. How we reach that, but that's the goal to have a
Okay.
community that can feed itself.
So to me, that would be more your impact statement, would be to have
Yeah.
self-sustaining, self-reliant communities. That takes it to the next level, so to speak.
Yes.
So it's good to
Is
be. I mean,
that a
it really
problem?
is good to be ambitious in these impact statements.
Do you like us to change our statements?
If you want to, because I think what you'll see is what you have, the yield and the income level, that those will be more like outcomes in a sense. These will be more like the long-term outcomes. But
Okay.
the greater change that it's ultimately building toward is what you mentioned, is self-reliance, which is, again, that's a lasting change. That's something that is transformative.
Lovely. It's just matter of words. We can change that. No problem.
Can you see my input, please?
Oh, let me see. I don't think so. And I wonder if you may have, hold on. I'm going to stop my sharing, and I think I'm going to repeat what you said. I'm going to try to show my screen, my whole screen, so that it's clear, because I think we're all running into the same problem. If you go to chat, can you see the chat box?
Yes, I can see meeting group chats. It says
Yeah.
meeting group chats.
Okay, so because it should, yeah, because sometimes if it says this, then we can't all see your chat, your input. It's got to be on the blue tab. It's got to be meeting group chat. And if you paste it there, then we should all see it.
No, I pasted it there, but you cannot see it. So maybe I put. Are there different places to? So this should be here. Maybe let me check it here. It says to. Okay, let me copy and paste it here again. Wow, can't do it.
If it's not possible for you to do it, then maybe I would suggest either you can email it to Liban perhaps, and Liban you can post it.
The ban, where is it? Here?
No, I would say to email it to Liban. If for some reason you can't
Liban.
post.
Okay, to Liban. Okay,
Yeah.
let me email it to now. Yes, I will do it now.
Thank you.
I will send
Or
it to
you can share it on my WhatsApp, then I can.
Okay.
Yes.
forward it
Your
here.
WhatsApp,
That's better.
Yes.
Okay.
Sir, I also shared my if it's appear in the chat box.
I see it. So great.
Oh, okay.
So this is really nice. And I think in a couple of challenge statements also, it's good to maybe go a little bit beyond what is the problem causing. So I see, for Aden, a KCG, and then for the Fatima, for your inputs, you mentioned that there's specific sort of management issues. But what's the, so in the case of like Aden, in the case of the cooperative, the record keeping methods, like what are those inefficiencies leading to? Like what is the impact of the problem?
You mean the problem that I shared in the chat box?
Or Fatima, yeah, you could go as well. Like, so you say claims processing is slow. So what does that mean? What bigger problem does that create? The fact that you have slow claims processing?
It creates because this insurance is new in Somaliland, and people doesn't have any idea about the insurance itself. So we don't also have graduates. I mean, outcomes students that study the insurance field. So we depend on these external specialists for now, but we started also teaching people on giving more trainings, giving more visits, spreading the awareness. So these insurance companies now have facing kind of a newly innovation that has come to this country. So we start. I have an employee, for example, and this employee needs to be trained. So the employee trained in something new for it. I mean, like talking about this stage. So now I'm processing new claims. So everything is new for us. The processing claims. So we might sometimes have a new challenges. Somehow we need sometimes we may have a process. We don't even have much idea about the processing itself. Sometimes we have new problems that we didn't face it before. So we are learning these kind of problems. So this may lead to the slow. And also, we don't. Sometimes some companies doesn't depend on a system or something. So all these maybe problems leads to the slow of processing the claim itself, and also not depending on a systemized or automation or it's manually generated documents.
Okay, Fatima, I think thank you for that. What I'm trying to get to is, I think the fact that you have that claims processing for insurance is not fully effective. Could you say that it's limiting people's access to insurance products? Is it making it more difficult for the insurance companies to expand their business in Somalia?
Definitely, because people sometimes think that if they have an accident or something, they may not get their claims processed. There is a lack of trust. Sometimes there is a lack of there is some also ignorance, you can say. So if you process your claims so fast and compensate these people who are under the claims, so this may gain the fastest as I process the claim. This may gain the word of mouth. For example, this company. For example, I have these claims processed fast, so the people or the community or the society itself are going to spread the awareness about, yeah, there is an insurance, I had a claim, and also they process my claim and they compensate me. And this creates trust and confidence in the insurance itself.
So I would say include that in your problem statement. The fact that that's not just about, the problem isn't just only about claims processing. It really is, the bigger problem is that the ineffectiveness of claims processing is preventing really more people from being insured, from receiving the benefits of insurance in Somalia. Because again, that problem, people will see it as much more important and worthy of investments and partnership than if it's too narrow. And it's also, phrasing it like that also helps connect the long-term impact, right? If you think that making claims processing much better is going to lead to the growth of the insurance business industry in Somalia, then the long-term impact may be more Somalis are insured. And when there is a natural disaster or catastrophe or a bad season, then there will be less economic harm and social harm. So I think it's important to think big when you're in a social impact space, and then get into the details into how you do it step by step.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of resilient. It's kind of a new thing to the market so far. It's literally, it's not new. It's not very new, but it's like something like doesn't have a much experience in the market itself. It's not kind of not reliable, but on the big terms, there is also another great impact, which is creating after spreading awareness, creating new jobs. For example, the brokers, the sales, insurance sales, actuaries, they have a lot of jobs related to the insurance itself. So the more reliable insurance is, the more trust, the more confidence is, the more that we have people engaged to the business itself, and this cause to create the growth to the companies, to the insurance companies, and related businesses to the insurance itself.
Thank you, Fatima. Exactly. So I think it's important. Yeah, like we'll move on, but we'll go. Don't worry, we'll come right back to these statements, the problem statement, and the challenge statement, and the sort of the impact statement later on. But I think the point is, it's got to be, there's got to be an element of boldness, and the problem has to be, it has to have sort of social level implications, so that people can see, again, the social investors are not only looking to make money, they're looking to create a better outcomes for people. And the more you connect those, you challenge and your impact with that, the more attractive, the more easy it will be for you to have a conversation with these kind of investors. Okay, we're going to move on. Like I will be reviewing everyone's work. I think once we have the tool completed. But next, I want just to keep for us to keep going, so that we're able to finish more or less on time. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next step, which is defining the features of your innovation. And basically every solution, I mean, we're all on this call together because part of what you're doing is innovative. Both the WFP Accelerator and the Innovation Norway projects, they're not there to just fund a business that does what it does well, that does what other people do well. It funds, initiatives that are new, maybe new in the whole world, maybe new in Hargeisa, maybe new in a particular sector, but there's an element of innovation in everything that you all are doing. So this feature is quite simple. It's really to tell us, like, what is new about what you're proposing, what sets you apart from your competition, or from, even if you have no competition, from like the previous system. And that's really important, because that's the kind of evidence you want to get, is about specifically what you're introducing. So everybody knows, you know, if you're let's go to the farming scenario, if you provide more financial assistance to farmers and they're able to invest more into their farm, normally, you know, there's probably evidence that shows that that increases yield. But you're doing something different. You're providing them access to something that they didn't have before. And so how does that create positive change? How does that get you results that other approaches or other products aren't able to generate? So another 5 minutes, maybe again, this is something you've done before, but tell us, what are your features? Like maybe 1, 2, 3, up to 5 things that you're doing that nobody else in your market is doing, and that sets you apart. Maybe not nobody else, maybe you have one or two peers, but generally compared to the way that things are normally done, what is it that makes your approach different? And what is it that we want to test in terms of getting to demonstrate the fact that these new ways of working, these new features, these new elements are actually creating an improvement over what was done before. So can we take another 5 minutes? Same thing for those of you working on the Excel spreadsheet. You can just put in those features in that blue box, and then put them on the chat as well, so we can all see what you've been working on. Is that okay?
Yes,
okay.
yes, sure.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you all very much. Let's take 5 minutes. All right, everyone. Yeah, could we get some not seeing a lot of things in the chat. It doesn't need to be, I know sometimes it can be hard to sort of summarize or to sort of try to have all the features. I would say focus on some of the most essential things, like what really sets you apart. It shouldn't really be more than, honestly, usually three is a lot already. Like sometimes it's just one thing that's different. But yeah, please start to put things in the chat so we can sort of see everybody's inputs. Thank you from Tayo. Great to see that. Thank you. Maybe for those of you who are still sort of thinking through it, usually these are things that come out in your pitch, right? Like you often you start with a challenge, like, well, we've observed that this is a problem. We want to solve this problem, and this is what we're doing about it. And generally, when you do your pitch, you're going to say, this is what's new and exciting and different about your approach. So I imagine many of you already have that information somewhere. But if not, then that's a good time to to develop it, because it is really important. Again, as you pitch your solution, as you try to gain attention, to be able to clearly articulate what is it that makes you different from others. And again, anything you've written here is not set in stone. So if you have new idea, you don't try to get it perfect. You always have time to add to it later. But thank you, Kalia. Thank you so much for. I just see that you've added yours. And make the box a bit bigger.
I'm sorry, it's Kafia.
Kafia, sorry, yeah. And Hafsa too. Thank you all. Yeah, thank you. Now we're starting to see that. Great. These look really good. Oh, sorry. Yeah, and I'm sorry for the bridging the gap bit. That was not necessarily meant to. Thanks for already addressing that. This is what we'll get into, Hafsa, in the next steps. So sorry, this slide, I think I jumped ahead, or this slide includes that, but we'll get to those, to the different steps, and I think you already provide some answers, but this is exactly the kind of thing we'll look at. I think we need to move on, and I do hope that those of you who haven't put in the chat, you are able to put that in your Excel spreadsheet, because it is critical that you have a set list of these features that can then tell you about the kind of how the information you get should be linked in some way to some of these features, particularly in the next steps, because that's what you need to test, right? If you are, and thank you, Yasmin. Women are much faster on this one, I have to say. Hats off to the ladies in the chat here. It's important because the next step, so maybe we'll get to that. Move on the slides here. Really has to be about demonstrating that what you're doing differently is working. Because right now there is a gap, right, between here's what we're back to the hand washing station example, and again, you might have an innovator that says, well, my hand washing station is great because it's you can use liquid or solid soap. You can lock the system so like the soap doesn't get stolen. It's usable by people with disability. It's made with local materials and it's very cheap. This is Uganda shillings. These are all things that make my hand washing station different than anybody else's. And then but then you're still, how do those features lead to fewer incidences of disease? Right. And I think this is that gap that we're talking about. How do we demonstrate that a new system that has this innovation, this new element, how do you get to the long-term result? And the next step, and I think this is one that is very often overlooked in the NGO space, in the social impact space, is people very much want to jump forward to seeing meaningful long-term change. But the critical moment is really what happens when people begin to see and use your solution. What is their first impression? How is it introduced? What is people's reactions, or people or communities or businesses' reaction when they interact and they begin to interact with your solution? And most importantly, what is it, those features that we talked about, the things that make your solution different, how do people react to those? So a simple example might be, if you are, I'm trying to do the example I usually use, but if you're doing, for the hand washing station, simple thing, if it's meant for children, are the children able to operate it? Right? Because maybe if you've built it too high, or if it's too complex, then maybe young children simply don't use it. If that's the case, you don't need to wait several months until you start to get health data from the school systems, right? Because if you know from the very beginning that the children can't use it, you know you can't take credit for any change that happens, because it's going to happen without your solution. Same thing for an app, right? If you make an app available but nobody can download it, maybe you've only put it in the App Store, in the Apple Store, iOS store, and everybody's using Android. Again, it doesn't work. Like only very few people might be able to interact with it. So it's this level of very basic, in first results that really tells you very early on whether your assumptions are correct and whether those innovative features that you've developed are actually having the intended results with their users. So, you could see, what happens in an example from this group. I know, for instance, that, social plastics, the tiles that you've developed, are the people in the building world, does it fit their needs? When they see the material, do they see it as a product that they can integrate into their work? If not, then obviously there's going to be much bigger problems for you down the road. So these are the results that are actually critical to setting the process of change in motion. And so what I'd like to see, if you could, is, can you, in the document and in the chat, and yeah, sorry, I can tell you, I see you're jumping ahead with the different outcomes and outputs. We're going to go one step at a time. And it's great that you've got your immediate results already here. So I'm going to ask everybody to do that, to focus on these immediate results. What is it that they're going to be, that's going to happen? So I would say here, for instance, your immediate, well, these are intermediate results. Yeah, the immediate results need to be really short term. So I'm talking about, like, again, minutes, hours, days, weeks, maybe, but no more than that. Things that are happening initially. And it could be something like initial customer satisfaction. It could be something like access, like, can people actually access what you're offering, and are they accessing it? Do they understand and see the value of what you're proposing? These would be the things that you need to very early on get evidence of. Because if these things aren't working, if these immediate results aren't happening the way you think they should happen, then everything falls apart, right? You're not going to be able to achieve either economic growth or the social change that you want. So that is what I'd like to see, is if you could take another few minutes to outline, what do your users, so your customers, your clients, it could be your partners, if you're set up in a partnership, what do you expect them to how do you expect them to react to what you're introducing? Are you expecting immediate results to happen when they begin to use the solution? And please let me know if you have questions on that, because that's usually the most difficult, I think, one for people to conceptualize. Is oftentimes people want to jump ahead, but it's really about very initial results from putting your innovation out into the world. And I know some of you already have piloted and even scaled your solution, so that's already happened for you, and that's important. Like, what were some of those initial reactions, and did any of them force you to change things, to make alterations to your solution? Because that's the value of that feedback, right? Of these early results, is that they give you time to make changes. So if nobody can download your application, maybe you can make a quick change to add it to the right digital marketplace. Or if people don't know how to use something you're providing, maybe you then added a bit of a training or a manual to the solution. And I'm curious, actually, maybe let's make this interactive. Those of you who have more mature solutions, what were did you learn anything from this initial feedback from your users?
Can I?
Please, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. In our case, we manufacture products using petrochemicals imported from Arabian countries, like Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and United Arab Emirates. And we produce products that are being sold in supermarkets, small shops, and different enterprises in the country. So in our case, when we start this project, we don't expect them to feel any change they will continue using the same products that we were already selling in the town, but we are only changing the input. Instead of importing raw materials from Saudi Arabia, we are trying to replace that petrochemicals with recycled plastic collected from the town.
That's a really good example. Thank you, Abdul Karim, because then in this case, your expected result is no result, right? It's people not complaining about lower quality or not noticing that there's a new blend in the material, that it's so the immediate result you're looking for from your customers is them continuing to buy as usual and not noticing that there's a change in the quality of the product. Is that right?
Yes, we will be monitoring, in fact, the quality of the product if there are any changes, because that's very sensitive also. But we don't want also to tell them that we know we have changed our inputs from virgin materials to recycled materials. There is a stereotype against the recycled materials in general. So it may have even a negative impact on the sales.
No, that's exact. Thank you. That's a great example. So yeah, in this case, the immediate result you're looking for is people not noticing that there's a change, which is really interesting, because in some cases, I know some of the innovators will want the opposite, right? They want people to notice immediately that there is something different. But in your case, you want the quality to be consistent so that nobody notices that the difference. That's a really good example. Thank you. And yeah, Ahmed, I see your comment. So yeah, you want the initial reaction for people. So you want people to be for the people in the accelerator to feel that it's helpful, that it's useful. You want them to be satisfied, and that they're getting the information that they need to be successful, right? That they don't walk away from the session saying this is useless, or I've heard this before, or this is not relevant to me, right? This is your initial result you're looking for is customer satisfaction. Is that right?
Yeah, Max. So basically, whenever there's an accelerator or incubation program, usually the focus is to satisfy the donor rather than the founders and the recipient. So the idea here is with our lab is the accelerator is to find out that what we're doing and what we're offering them can really address their pain points and contextualize the experience. So yeah, a feedback from the customers.
And thank you. And then oftentimes it's about return, right, as well. Like you can tell immediately if people come back to get more, that means that they're happy with the service. So if none of you returned on the next training chat, the next call, I know that I will have done a really bad job, and my tool may not be useful for you if nobody chooses to come back. So those are pretty immediate results as well. Yeah.
Indeed.
Quick question, Max.
Yes.
I don't know if I fully understood the task. When you say immediate results, is it like something, because I've posted something on the chat, is it something like this where, like, what are the initial reaction of entrepreneurs, or is it something a little bit more down the line? So after they've gone through the accelerator for a few weeks, they kind of maybe have a more refined business model, because now they've kind of been able to learn some other aspects that they were maybe lacking in the areas they were lacking in, and so now they're able to refine their business model? Or are we kind of talking about initially, like from inception stage, their reactions?
It's a good question, because when you have a cycle, then is it once they've gone through the full cycle, or is it immediately? I would say I think it's important to focus on the more short term, and your next level of results will be once the cycle is completed. So these will be more sort of, I think there's two for your case. I think there's kind of two levels of outputs, and in the tool you can sort of sequence things accordingly, right? But I like what you've put in, because if they see, I think in your case, if it's a curriculum, do they do they feel that the curriculum is relevant to them? So do they enroll is the first, that would be the immediate result. If nobody enrolls in what you're proposing, then you know you got a problem, right? And you don't need to wait until you teach to an empty class for several cycles to know something's wrong. So that I think those immediate ones are important. And then the next stage would be once a cycle of use is completed. So it could be something also for those in the farming world, like in the agricultural world, like what's the immediate thing when you introduce the solution, and then what happens after planting season, as the next level, if that makes sense. And so, and Hannah, back to you, like, so it's not just about customer satisfaction, but it's also if you're giving them, as soon as they enroll, if they have access to a network, if they can now connect immediately to other peers, that's an immediate result. Like they have that access that they didn't have before they joined.
Okay.
So these are things that happen on day one, basically. Yep.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you.
Okay, and Kafia, I see. Yeah, again, the satisfaction and gratitude. So this is the satisfaction of them, like just hearing about it, right? Or are you talking about satisfaction after they've used your services?
Actually, it is both. Though we haven't still launched our application, but when we approach the community and we tell them our launch of innovation, they were more than happy to work with us. They really appreciate it, and they were even willing to put the word out. So they were more excited than us.
So great. So yeah, I mean, a lot of it is go ahead.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry I interrupted. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, please continue.
No,
You were saying?
I was going to say, yeah, a lot of this often is about validating demand, right? You have an idea that people will want to use your service, and the immediate result is to validate whether that demand exists. It's for us at Response Innovation Lab, it was the same thing. Like we thought that there would be demand from the humanitarian sector to invest in sort of innovation platforms, and the first sort of result that we knew we were doing the right thing was when we had people who wanted to engage with us, who were eager to discuss. So I think that's also part of that. Some of those initial results is validating the theory that you have that there is demand for what you're proposing.
Absolutely.
Okay, so these are great. These are really good examples. And ideally, then we'll talk about that sort of later. This is something you'll be doing some work on. But how do you translate then this into measurable indicators? So we'll talk about that later. But I think before you get to the indicators, it's really important to understand that your expectations. Like, what is it how do you want people to react? Customers, users, even potentially if your impact is also to create jobs, are you able to, are you recruiting? Are you finding people to recruit, with the right skill set? Because that can be a problem for you in the long run. If you're trying to create jobs for, like, let's say waste pickers who pick up the plastic, if those people aren't available, or if the wages are not, if they don't agree to work on the wages, then like your long-term goal of creating employment is going to be a problem. So it's not just customers; it can also be whoever you think will benefit from your solution. But usually consumers, clients, direct users, and so on. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next stage. And so these are two linked stages, or two sort of like this is now where you get to what people more generally consider the results. And I think, again, this is probably things you've already thought about. But what does happen then? What are the changes that you expect will take place when people start to use your innovation regularly? So in the case of an accelerator program or training, it's what happens once the training is completed, once the cycle is completed, what's changed? And it could be that people have now gained certain level of knowledge. Maybe they've gained confident. Maybe they have plans now. They have like actual plans and are ready to move on to the next stage. But that's the idea. If you're selling a product, once people start to buy, either increase their purchases or to continue to buy, the recycled products, for instance, from Tayo, what begins to change as you validate your business model and your product? There's going to be things that begin to move. Those are going to be your intermediate results. Once you start to, again, it's about starting to gain repeat customers, finishing a cycle. So again, all of you in the agricultural space, what happens after a whole planting, and harvest season has completed? Were people starting? Was that successful? Were people able to increase their yield in that particular planting season, or that particular season, agricultural season? This is the intermediate results and early outcomes. And then the next level, the outcome level, is when these are more long-term, about when it becomes regularly adopted. So once people start to use this as part, when for themselves, when your users stop trying things and begin to make this part of their regular life. So as individuals, as companies, if they start to buy your product over multiple order cycles, what happens to them? What happens to you and your company once you start to get that traction? So these are, again, here we're talking about the social impact. So if you can focus on, again, if it's farmers, then yes, you probably want to look at their yields, how much they're able to sell at the market, how much they're able to use for their own consumption or their community's consumption, and so on. That would be the intermediate result of one season, and then over multiple seasons, does that hold? Does it work? Does your solution work if there's a change in the climate? If one season is better than another, are you able to outperform the alternatives? Those would be your longer term outcomes to show more durable change. That is also, I know, quite difficult sometimes to differentiate the two, and maybe sometimes you need to break it up even into more chunks, more levels. But I just want to see, are there questions here? Because I know this can be complicated. And again, here you don't want to go too many. I think like 3 is a good target to say, okay, after as an intermediate result, I'm looking for 3 made, and it could be 2, it could be 4, but I'm looking for a certain number of things that show me that after people begin to fully use it, at least through one cycle, that this happens. It happens to, these results are showing positive, that we're going to get to the impact we want, to link that to the impact that you're looking for. So are you able to reduce the use of virgin plastics at that stage? Are you able to gain new customers that will then, purchase more of the product that is going to have the social impact? And are these consumers and these users starting to benefit directly from your solution after they've tried it fully? And then the next level, once they really begin to use it more, completely over several months and perhaps years, what does change for the better? So let's take a bit more time, and yeah, if you can have that, put some of those ideas in the chat. Again, you don't need to give me an indicators. We'll work on that later, specific like numbers or anything like that. But generally, what is the change you're looking for in the lives and the situation, the communities, the businesses that you're going to be working with at these 2 different levels? No, Kafia, thank you. I like what you've put in. I think it also brings up the point that for the intermediate results and early outcomes, which I think these fit nicely into, it's going to be looking at individuals, individual users, and so on. But when you start to get to the scaling and the outcomes, you're going to look more at communities and population. So once you have these farmers that have increased agricultural productivity, more skills, more stability, what happens to the whole community? What starts to happen once these more effective farmers begin to to generate more income and to live better? Then that's when you start to get towards community resilience, right? So I think those you listed are really good at intermediate results and early level outcomes, and then the next level outcomes would be more population wide or community wide.
Yes. Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you also, Abdul Karim. I think these are really good. These are really good as well, and these are great for the intermediate results. And then seeing how, if you're able to start to reduce imported petrochemicals and so on, then I think the next the scaling level, the outcome level, then would be a bit more about what happens then to the environment. What are some of the advantages that you start to see in terms of the sort of environmental impact in Somalia? So these are really good. And Hannah, I'm looking at yours as well. Yeah, this is great. Yeah, absolutely. And again, yeah, in some cases you might, you can add more columns if you need to stagger. But I think these are really good in terms of sequencing, right? You're generally, the way it works is you're building up capacity, whether it's intellectual capacity or financial capacity and so on, with individuals. And then those individuals begin to produce more value, so to speak. And then that added value benefits the entire community. And then over time, you really get to the social impact change. So I think you all, everyone that I see here is really gets that really well. So congratulations. Okay, I know we only have a few minutes left, and it's been a long It's been a long session, but just to continue this work, what's going to be interesting, and this is going to be important for the next call that we do together, because we'll be focusing then on a particular stage, is for you to realize, like, to think about, where are you on this journey? Where do you feel that you're ready? What kind of evidence do you feel ready to collect at the moment? And don't pay too much attention to these timelines. These are kind of meant to be on a standard accelerator type, incubator or accelerator time frame. But I think this is a bit different, given this group, because some of you have actually been operating for some time. Others are yet to sort of launch, to fully launch. But I'm assuming everybody here has kind of gone through the sort of prototyping and is actually beginning to roll out their solution through either the Innovation Norway Awards or the Ignite Accelerator. But I think you might find yourselves in different places here. So having, based on what we discussed and the kind of evidence that may be available to you, depending on how long you've been doing what you've been doing, in the chat, can you tell us, for your solution, are you in what we're calling prototyping or piloting? Oftentimes is a bit of a blurry, so it's prototyping or piloting. The next group would be piloting or scaling. So prototyping or piloting is you're mostly looking at your immediate results. You haven't really done that yet. You don't know exactly how people will react to what you're proposing, and so that would be your initial focus to get that information. If you're in a piloting or scaling, you've already rolled out, you've had some experience from people, so you may already know a bit how people react, but you're now waiting, you're going to start to collect the results, like what is actually, what we just talked about in the last step. But if you've been doing this for a while, and if people have been using your solution regularly, maybe now is more the time where you start to look at these outcomes. Like, are you creating that change in the long run that you want to create? So this was really quick. If everybody can, in the chat, say which one do you fall under. So prototyping or piloting, that's one. Piloting or scaling as two, or just scaling as the third. Please use the full phrase, because otherwise, if you say scaling, if you mean piloting or scaling and just put scaling, I might think that you're here. So not very convenient, but if you can please do that, that would be great. So yeah. Also, Hannah, great example. And I'm sorry, this is my fault for not making it easy. When you say piloting, are you more in the prototyping or piloting stage, or the piloting or scaling stage?
Sorry. So do I just clarify by saying piloting stage? What else do I add? Because we haven't actually started yet. We're hoping to start in like the coming month or so. So
okay, so you'd be prototyping or piloting. Yeah, sorry, this is my fault for not making that simple. So because there's piloting in two of these, buckets, and then there's scaling in two of the buckets. So if you haven't started,
okay.
So you're prototyping or piloting. Okay.
Okay. Okay, I get it now.
Yeah, that's my bad. So you could say initial piloting. It would be another way maybe to phrase that. So yeah, please take time to think about it, because this is really going to be okay. Yeah, thank you, Anna. To then influence a lot the kind of information that you should be looking for at this stage. Because what you don't want to do is, if you're in this stage here and you try to get outcome level indicators, it's not going to work. Like the results there won't be time for those results to materialize. So you'll either have impartial results, or you'll have to greatly simplify things, and it usually won't hold up to scrutiny. And the same thing if you're here. If you've been operating for several years now and you're still only providing initial customer feedback satisfaction from like new customers, then people will say, well, what about the customers that you've been working with you for 2 years? Like, what's changed for them, right? So it's really important to understand where you are and what information you need to, again, mostly it's about your information. It's about using information internally to make decisions. So figuring out where you are and the right information to collect is pretty critical.
If you haven't started yet, do we need to answer this one or do we skip this one?
I mean, no, you just get no. If you haven't started, then you're prototyping basically. I mean, this would be the first. You'd be in the first bucket because I imagine through the funding you're receiving, the idea is that you'll be launching, right? And so so you'll be looking to get some of these really, your evidence generation will be a lot about these initial results. It doesn't mean that you can't collect some of the later ones, but the initial focus will be here because that's the first level of evidence you haven't collected yet, basically.
Okay, so what would someone that is either prototyping or piloting kind of put in this first box?
Oh, sorry. So if you haven't, so this is the same box that we were talking about earlier, right? So here, like this is that box here. So you've already filled that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So so I didn't clarify. So here, basically, I'm only asking you to choose where you are at your current stage.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's
all.
Okay.
And then, yeah, Abdul Karim, yeah, I mean, in your case, it's interesting because you're integrating a solution in a bigger business. So I would say you're still testing. Yes, like you're operating at scale in a way, but you're still testing this particular new initiative within your larger company. So for the evidence, I would actually, since this is new, I would actually kind of put you more into this stage, unless, like you say, people have already if you've already delivered things to customers and you already have their feedback, then you might be more in this stage. You might be more in the piloting or scaling stage. Great. Yeah, Kafi, yeah, thanks. So you've already have some of your initial, you've had some of the initial people have already started to use your services. And then now you're looking to begin to scale that.
Yes.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay. I know we're at time, and I know some people have already dropped off, and we'll have to do Liban. I think we'll have to do some follow up. But I can just give you a quick preview where we're headed on the next call, which is basically that we'll focus only on where you are. So from now on, in the Excel spreadsheet, we're not going to ask you to fill the whole thing, but looking at the column where you identified where you are, this will be the next step, is to look at what are some of the key activities you need to do to get to your next level. So already this is things that you have that are part of your project plan. So it's not meant to be a whole new thing. It's just a way to visualize what it is that you're doing through your current stage. And then this is where we'll get to picking the actual indicators. what makes sense for you to track in terms of the evidence for these indicators. So we'll do that together on the next call. But the idea is at the end of the day, you'll have let me go back to the beginning. You'll have a full sort of roadmap that tells you and your partners and your investors like the whole story, basically, of like what problem you're trying to solve, what the long-term impact you want to achieve, and how you're going to get there. How you're going to demonstrate your progress toward this social impact goal. And then on top of that, on the sort of column side, you'll be able to match. Okay, if you're in the prototyping or piloting phase, these are some of the key activities that I need to do to get to a scaling phase. And these are some of the key evidence I need to gather now in order to inform myself and others about how my solution is working. But we'll do that together on the next call if that's okay with everyone.
That would be fine, but how long is this training gonna take place? Is it like more than 1 day sessions?
So Liban, I think we talked initially about doing 2 sessions.
Yes. So first, this is the first session, and the second session will be held next week. So what I would encourage you guys to do is to integrate all of the data you share with us today into the tool, the Shine spreadsheet, and then maybe streamline more according to the suggestions and recommendations given by Max. And then the next session will be more about proceeding from where we are leaving off today.
Lovely.
Yeah, thanks, Liban. Yeah, hopefully, I mean, the idea in the next session is we'll complete. There's not much left to complete here. If you've been based on what I see in the chat, those of you who've been adding that, this is fantastic. So it'll be mostly about, and again, the activities I think you already have. So it should just be a very quick dump, basically. And it's mostly for your purposes. And then I think what we'll spend a bit more time on is how to find the right kind of indicators that give you, the right kind of information. And then we'll move on to, there's a couple, then that plugs into this other tool that incorporates, for those of you know WFP, that we've already merged some of the indicators from WFP. So it's not going to be repetitive. It's just going to be plugging that into another tool. But I think this is sort of the bulk of the work. We just need to continue to get to the actual indicators. And I think that'll be, once we have that, then I think we'll be ready. We'll have what you need to in terms of the evidence generation side of things.
Okay, thank you, Max.
Yeah, and I recognize that you all are very, very busy, and I know this is a lot. We try to simplify it as much as possible. It's always a struggle to find the right balance, but I really appreciate you taking the time to go through this with us.
Lovely. Thank you, Max.
Okay,
We'll do that. See you next week.
See you next week. Thank you. And Ahmed, I see your question. We can provide meal training. That's something with Liban. We can work with Liban if you need special trainings for meal specialists. We can certainly talk to you about that.
Okay, thank you very much. You are clear.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, and see you all next week.
Okay, bye. See you next
Bye,
week.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining. Thank you, Max, too.